Thanks for watching Numbskull News. And today we're going to talk about bifurcation. The best of the rest conference. The biggest brands of the Big 12, the biggest brands of the ACC coming together as far as what's left after the next round of realignment by the Big 10 and the SEC. The reason I'm talking about it, because I don't believe that's what's going to happen at all. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to other people. Other people that I'm a fan of here on YouTube. The College Football Mafia, for instance. They did a fantastic live stream with Wild Ute, Moen, and Becky Go Huskies. I think I'm saying that correctly. They all did a great job. All right. I watched all 2 hours, whatever, of this whole thing. But at the end of the day, I have a problem with this type of speculation. I have a problem when logic doesn't dictate that can actually happen. And I'm going to show you what the problem is. Okay, so this is the new conference, 16-team conference. All right. Not a bad conference. It looks fun. It'll get some pretty decent viewership. The problem is, as like Duke, for instance. Lousy ass viewership. Arizona State. I think they have they're going to get better viewership. They're winning now. They have a solid coach, solid program. It'll do better. But for right now, it's crap. The viewership's crap. Virginia Tech, they've been to the mountaintop before, but they are in a valley, and that viewership sucks. All right. And like I said, I'm not trying to crap on these teams. These are really good brands, but these are all tier 2 brands except for Miami. Here's another problem. Okay. If you notice, there's no Florida State, there's no Clemson, there's no Notre Dame, there's no UNC, because, everyone believes they're going to the Big 2. Everyone believes they have options. I don't believe that. However, I'm not going to argue that here. They think, okay, I don't believe Miami is even an option. However, I'm going to go with they're like, okay, because if they have an option, it's only with the Big 10. All right. That's it. The SEC is not going to call. It's the Big 10 or bust. The Big 10 or the Big 12. The Big 10 or try to stay in the ACC, which I don't think they're going to do. But here's their mix, the top brands, right? But here's the problem. Let's say Miami is available. It's kind of like Oregon and Washington was. How committed are they going to be to this? Because what you're trying to do is put together the best brands out of those two conferences, and then with private capital, and then trying to get an even better deal than the Big 12 could get, or a better deal that the ACC can get on their own. All right, so I understand the why, but there's some problems. All right, so not only do you not have Florida State, Clemson, UNC, or Notre Dame in any of this, but you have a Miami that, I'm sorry, is the biggest prospect out there for the Big 10 later on. If they do wish to expand, or let's just say Notre Dame just doesn't sign up for this, they I don't know, they do something else happens, but they stay independent. However, what happens when they, one day do decide to go to the Big 10? In Miami, the perfect right along with that? They are. Capital partners would know that. Any kind of media deal this thing can get, a lot of that's going to be based on having Miami in those ratings. And if they're gone, then this whole thing is going to die on the vine. That's the problem. Okay? But there's other problems. Now, what I did, this is a 16-team conference. So I got creative. I took what's left out of the ACC and the Big 12, and I created a whole nother conference. So I'm going to show you the ridiculousness here. Before I get started, though, I do want to make note of something. So this 16-team conference, this is 10 Big 12 teams and 6 ACC teams. I just thought that was funny, but I'll stop gloating. So here's a conference that I just took, what was left. All right. And this is something that drives me nuts. K-State, Iowa State, and Baylor. They left those 3 out. They didn't even, all right, because they did a round a piece of Big 12 and ACC, and then whoever survived that got into the last tier maker, and then they created the 16-team conference out of that. K-State, Iowa State, and Baylor didn't even make it out of the first round of their shit. And Baylor, I'm sorry, it's a dumb reason. Well, how many teams do you need in Texas? As many as you can get in the next 10 to 20 years. That's right, Waco, Baylor, in the next 10 to 20 years. Texas is going to be the most populated state in the nation. The Texas Triangle, which Baylor's right in the middle of. As far as like a conglomerate of cities and towns, and there's a term for it, like a megapolis or something. But it's the fastest growing area in the country, like by a lot. This is where you want to be. You want to be in Texas. They took TCU. They took Texas Tech. Baylor's in that mix. Just going to say it. And by the way, I took Houston as well. And they're like, and Houston made it to the second round with them. But first off, Kansas State and Iowa State, the Farmageddon group, they are crushing it in the ratings right now. Kansas State has usually been pretty decent in ratings. All right, Iowa State, right around them, maybe a little bit further down. But here lately, they've really, especially since the Big 12 no longer has Texas and OU, those two, all of a sudden, those fan bases are there. They're watching. As a matter of fact, all of the Big 12 are watching their games. They're becoming national brands, people, in football. Kansas State, Iowa State, national brands. And I guess they forgot, but Iowa State has been a stalwart in basketball in the Big 12 for a long time. They have Big 12 titles. They always, not always, but they're damn near always at the top of the Big 12 in basketball. I mean, we always think Kansas, Baylor has won a title. But now we're thinking Arizona, we're thinking all that. Iowa State has been just an outstanding basketball program for a long time. For like 30 years. Big 12 badasses in basketball. So you're acting like they're nothing in basketball, which is crazy. Now, Kansas State isn't as good as basketball as Iowa State, but they've made plenty of tournaments, and they've won plenty of games in those tournaments. I mean, and another thing they forgot, unfortunately, but the way TV ratings are being calculated, the technology is there where they could finally get a proper counting of rural America and rural counties. So, yeah, Ames, Manhattan, Waco, a lot of rural areas around there. Well, guess whose ratings are about to go up permanently? Those 3 teams. So, being over 1 million viewers a week, a game on average, is not going to be hard for Kansas State and Iowa State and Baylor to pull off. This is going to pay massive dividends for them. So we're leaving them out because it's Ames, it's Manhattan, it's Waco. Yet, when I look over here, oh, well, look, there's Stillwater. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you? But Oklahoma State always gets great ratings. They do. They do. They're a great brand. Dare I say, maybe even a national brand, even when they're down. But we're going to take Arizona State because of the market, and Arizona because of the market. Hold on. They took Arizona because of why? Market and damn good basketball. Just a fantastic program, right? Houston, a bigger market. Dare I say, a better basketball program. At least lately they are. They're the best Big 12 program we got right now. Just played for a national title last year. And as far as potential, Houston has been more relevant in football than Arizona and Arizona State combined the last 20 years. Arizona State just kind of broke out, but they've been down forever. So is Arizona. Houston, you say, well, it's been a few years, but damn, they were a top team in the American. And I know it's big, it's a freaking group of 5 or whatever, but they've been badass. All right. Can they get back there? I believe they can. All right. Look. And when you're dealing with the rest, you got to get a little creative. I want Cincinnati. I love the town. I love the location. I love where they're at. No, market's not everything anymore. Don't put too much on that. Cincinnati's got, they got football history. Look, they're not Ohio State or anything, but they do have quality history in football and basketball. So yeah, I'm including them. UCF. Why would you put UCF in there? The same reason the Big 12 did. One of the best and up and coming and climbing G5s in the country. In Orlando, in Florida. Yeah, I'm going to ride with the potential of UCF. And by the way, let me go back to Baylor, because that was another one that kind of shocked me they left off. Even as a TCU fan, I'm like, what the hell? Because that's one of our chief rivals is Baylor. But I have mad respect for them. There's another point I need to make, though. Women's basketball, they're now getting units. They're not making as much money as the men's side does, but they have moved up to get units, which means for certain programs out there, they can easily pay for themselves and maybe more. Baylor is an elite women's basketball program. So not only do they give you solid men's basketball, recent championship level basketball, they also give you one of the legendary women's basketball teams as well. Because everyone talks about, what kind of baseball you have. Well, really? Baseball pays for nothing. They can't even pay for themselves. They can't even buy their own cleats. They need football and basketball to pay for baseball, collegiate baseball. It makes no freaking money. But women's basketball is climbing and it is making money. And it's set to really go off. So yeah, give me freaking Baylor. Anyway, they decided to pass on the New York market. As we'll get into in a minute, I'll double down on that. Syracuse, up and coming football. Not a bad football program at all. And they have a lot of great history in basketball. Look, I don't blame them for passing on UVA. I actually think Virginia Tech over UVA was the right call. However, UVA is a fantastic basketball brand, has also won a title recently. They passed on Pitt. I don't blame them. I would rather have West Virginia than Pitt. But Pitt does have value. You like where they're located, northeast of the country. So this works out for me. SMU. Again, I'm taking a third Texas team. Like I said, I'm not going to pass on Texas teams because I already got Texas teams. Bullshit. Give me the best brands out of, other than Texas, other than A&M, give me the best brands out of the state of Texas. Hell yes. I mean, these guys just played for an ACC title after winning their last year in the American and making no media rights money. So yeah, they're in Dallas. And here's the thing. And this is, I hear all the time, well, it's DFW. Do you need more than one school in DFW? I kind of understand that, but understand this. Fort Worth and Dallas are two different places. It's only like a 30-minute drive in between the two with no traffic. However, people in Dallas support SMU. People in Fort Worth support TCU. There's not a ton of crossover. The only time you get crossover is when you're in the middle in Arlington or Grand Prairie or maybe even Denton. But look, if they're going to take TCU, I still want a footprint in DFW. SMU gives me that. And they spent 30 years in the wilderness after the death penalty. They finally have arrived. This was once a proud brand. Big time. I mean, it's hard to imagine that SMU being big time, but they once were. That's not, you weren't allowed to spend money back then, but they spent a little money. However, they were a pretty damn big brand until the death penalty. Can they get back there again? Yeah. Yeah, they can. I can't deny it. They absolutely can. And these I got to do together. Stanford, Cal, they left them out. Don't blame them. But as far as what's left to build a conference with, I need the Bay Area. And believe it or not, Stanford and Cal, the ratings aren't horrible. It's better than a lot of the teams that they have on their side. It's better than Duke. It's better than Virginia Tech. It's better than Arizona or Arizona State. Their ratings are actually better. They're kind of right there with West Virginia. Right around that kind of area there. Also, if you're going to leave out Oregon State and Washington State, who have normally been a pretty respectable ratings draw there, and if I could put them in this deal, I believe those fan bases would be excited again. Like, oh, wow, because this is definitely a step up from where they are in the pack right now. Now, in case you're counting, I went to 18 teams, and I'm going to explain why. All right. Also, I hate that Wake Forest gets just shit on like crazy. And they have been here. Because look, I took Boston College. Now, why the hell would I take Boston College? Here's my thought process. I got Syracuse, I got Pitt, and I got Boston College. And by the way, also UConn. That's 4 schools in the Northeast, which is another mega populated area, right? A megalopolis or whatever the hell. So the Texas Triangle in that area. I need population. I need that base for advertisers to buy in, to see the potential. Because this is something that I'm gonna get a private equity deal. And I'm going to try to sell the shit out of this. Now, is markets the most important thing? No, it's not. No, it's not. But I gotta use every trick in the book to put this thing together and to make it work, to make it make money. Because I'm going to compete with this conference right here. I'm going to directly compete with them. I'm also throwing in Boise State. Works as far as travel goes. Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Stanford, and Cal. They're close enough together. Now, Boise State, Boise itself is a bigger town than Pullman. It's a bigger town than Corvallis. It just is. Look at it on a map. Look at the populations. Boise's bigger. It's actually got a real airport albeit a small one, but about the same size you get in Eugene. So, yeah, I'm taking Boise State. They are going to dominate the Pac-12. And if you gave them a shot in something like this, they would be one of the top teams. They'll get some winning done. That fan base always supports Boise State. I know the viewership hasn't been super great. It hasn't. G5, what do you expect? But you start getting people excited when you're playing at a higher level. That's what's going to happen with SMU. Their ratings are going to go up and up and up. Not because the ACC is all kinds of great, but people in Dallas know, hey, they're playing in they're a power school now. They're in the Power 4. Now people start getting interested. And you're winning. You're playing for a Power 4 conference title. That gets people damn excited. The other conference, I want to explain UConn here, because this is Team 17. I'm kicking out Wake Forest for Boise State. That gives me 16. But I'm going to go, if you see, I got 2 more teams here. So I'm going to explain UConn first. I need a blue blood. Houston can get there. Absolutely. But who's already there? UConn. Men's, women's, like I said before with the women's. They're blue bloods in both. Football sucks, right? It's getting better. It's getting better. Like I said, now I got the north end of New York. Now I got the east end of New York in Connecticut. I'm making inroads into New York City. And if you ask me, Syracuse and UConn probably matter more than Rutgers does, who's actually in New York City. So, yeah, give me those. Memphis. This is why I'm going with Memphis. They got big advertisers. FedEx, Lowe's. Here's the deal. Memphis, you can get in on this. But you don't have to give us $250 million worth of advertising. But we're going to need some of that advertising to help bring this thing together. We need every revenue stream we can get. Memphis would be more than happy to help out with that. They're in Tennessee, which is one of the fastest growing states in the country. Albeit from everyone tells me Memphis sucks. Memphis, as far as the city, is poor and crap and whatever. I don't care. The school is flush with cash. Flush with cash. More so than most of the schools in either of these conferences. So, yeah, give me Memphis. Now, you're going to look at this one and say, well, this one's clearly way better. Is it really that clear that it's that much better? Keep in mind, anytime the Big Ten is coming up for a new media deal, Miami can be gone. Anytime Notre Dame wants to join the Big Ten, Miami can be gone. The rest of these teams can't say that. But Miami can be gone in a minute. So you can't really count on that. So let's look at the rest of this. Is it really that much better than this? I don't think so. The potential, and understand, I am going on a lot of potential. Potential with Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, SMU. A lot of this is potential based. Boise State, UConn, Memphis, of course. But there are brands here, nationally recognized brands, Kansas State, Iowa State, Baylor, that are anchoring this whole thing down. When I look at this, with or without Miami, it's not going to command any kind of money anywhere close to where the Big Ten and the SEC are. It won't. And guess what? This one won't either. But I tell you what, this one will do, especially with Miami, especially if you still have Miami in this. This one here will make more money than my conference I threw together. However, this one, the gap won't be as big as, okay, this conference, the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten is still going to be big. The gap between this one and the college football mafia's best of the rest conference, it's not that different. The money this will command is not that much less than this. It's not gonna have the chasm, the gap. Look, I don't believe any of that's going to happen. As a matter of fact, you're better off with a straight up Big 12 ACC merger. And we are talking smash capital. These are the people behind the Project Rudy stuff. 70 team Super League. That's what they want. They want all of the Power Four in the same deal, working together, negotiating media rights together. That's what they want. Do they want to form another 16-team conference? It doesn't sound like smash capital to me. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't. Look, you're better off if you really got to consolidate things. You take the Big 12, you add Virginia Tech, you add NC State, you add Louisville, you add Georgia Tech. That gets you to 20. But oh wait, I wouldn't stop there. I would take Syracuse. And I would take Duke. That gets you to 22 schools. Oh wait, let's don't stop there. I mean, look, I want to get to 24. So I got to have 2 more after that. Y'all pick who you want. But that's where the money is. That would actually be better than the best of the rest conference. It just would. I mean, what the hell? You don't think you can make money with a 20-team league? You don't think you can make money with a 24-team league? Yes. Yes, you can. As I said, I really enjoy watching the College Football Mafia and those guys. I like that channel. I like it a lot. They do a lot of good stuff. This was actually an entertaining video for me. Thus, I watched over 2 hours of it. But do I disagree with damn near everything they said? Yes. Yes. You know, is Texas Tech a bigger brand in DFW than freaking TCU? No, Becky, it ain't. I live here full time for the majority of my life. And Texas Tech has a lot of fans in DFW. As many as TCU? No. Sorry, you got that one wrong. Like I said, they do great work. I'm a fan. I will continue to watch their stuff. I highly recommend y'all check them out if you haven't. And subscribe to their freaking channel. Subscribe to mine. What are you doing? But I don't believe in any of the bifurcation crap. Does it? Why do it? Why do it? When you already have a fully formed Big 12, just add the ACC schools. All right? Or if private capital really wants to shake things up, merger. Both those options are better than bifurcation. Bifurcation's dumb. It doesn't even make sense. A reshuffling of Tier 2 brands is going to get you closer to the Big Ten and the SEC. It won't. You know, newsflash, it won't. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.